the veil was torn and nothing happened. Nothing was there. Nothing came out. No one got zapped. Instead, presumably, the priests just sewed it back up and continued the charade. And the illustration I thought of after I gave my last talk, which I thought was kind of humorous, and I wish I'd put it in there, but I'll say it now, is that of pantsing. Anybody remember pantsing? Think back to junior high, or as they call it sometimes, middle school. You'd be in PE, right? And you're in your PE uniform or whatever. You got your shirt and your elastic waistband shorts. And, if someone were to sneak up behind you and just grab the sides of your shorts and just pull them down, right? And so now you're exposed in your tighty-whities or whatever you got on, your underoos. And it was meant to sort of, ridicule, humiliate, make a mockery of somebody, to expose them. And I do think that there is an illustration there. It's not quite worked out yet, and so I haven't quite, put the dotted the I's and crossed the T's on this. But there is a sense in which, it seems to me, because of Colossians 2, 13 to 15 that we looked at last time, where Paul says that in the crucifixion, God has nailed to the cross that handwriting of requirements, that those legal requirements that was against us. Paul says he nailed it to the cross. Speaking, of course, of the Mosaic law, the Mosaic economy, the entire sacrificial priestly economy of Moses, what's called the Old Covenant. Paul says God actually killed this system, which I've been calling serpentine. This system has been nailed to the cross. And Paul even says that he made a public spectacle of the principalities and powers, triumphing over them in it. He made a mockery of the principalities and powers. What does that mean? Well, I think that's Paul's way of speaking of demonic entities, right? Because, we read in Ephesians, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers and authorities in heavenly places, right? The rulers of this present darkness. He calls them principalities and powers, and that's what he calls them in Colossians 2. So there's a sense in which this entire system, which on some level is being driven by the devil, these principalities and powers, which is why Jesus rebuked Peter and called him Satan when Peter suggested that he could avoid the void and get the crown without the cross. Jesus says to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan, you're not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men." That God is, as it were, pantsing the Mosaic economy. God is, as it were, when he tears the veil open and exposes the lie. He tears the veil open from top to bottom and it shows there's nothing there. There is no sacred object that you can attain. There's nothing in there that you, by doing X, Y, or Z, can finally attain. That desire that's been just around the corner, just over the horizon, that you've been searching for. By the rending of the veil and coupling that with what Paul says about God putting them to open shame. God has made a mockery. God has disarmed principalities and powers. It's akin to getting pantsed in junior high, right? This is where God just exposes the lie for what it is and says that's not the way.